I've had a very good and productive visit today. I had the honor of meeting with President Nasheed, several members of his cabinet. I met with the opposition leader, Mr. Tasmin, also with the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Shahid, and with members of civil society. We think that the Maldives should be very proud of the democratic progress that has been made over the last several years. The current political crisis that Maldives faces is one that is familiar to many democracies. The president represents one party, while the opposition controls the parliament. I told the president and Mr. Tasmin that there's really only one way out of such crises. Both sides must be open to dialogue and to compromise. I'm very confident that both sides are capable of that. Many of the figures who were involved in the current political impasse, such as President Nasheed and the Speaker of Parliament, played important roles in resolving even more difficult problems as they negotiated the draft constitution in 2007 and 2008. A continued stalemate here in Maldives serves no one's interest. There's a risk of further violence, and that in turn could impact tourism, aggravate the economic challenges Maldives faces. President Nasheed has shown very strong international leadership in areas such as climate change. The United States hopes that he and Mr. Tasmin can show equally strong leadership now to work collaboratively together to end the current political impasse. It's time for all sides to put aside narrow partisan differences so they can resume work to serve the interests of the Maldivian people and restore public confidence in both their leaders and the public institutions of the Maldives. Well, again, I wasn't involved in any negotiations of any kind, but with respect to Mr. Yamin, I believe that he either should be charged with some sort of offense or he should be released. I think he's in a somewhat ambiguous legal status now, and I think that clarifying that status would be a helpful part of starting to resolve the impasse that exists. I don't think that the crisis will have an impact so much on donor funding, but I do think it could have a quite significant economic impact if it's not resolved. For the simple reason that if there is a continued impasse, there could be more violence here, and that violence in turn could discourage tourists from coming to Maldives. I remember very well during the bombing that took place in 2008. That had quite a severe impact on tourism, even though most people didn't recognize that that bombing only took place on Malé, while most of the islands were completely free of any kind of threats. But most of the tourists that live in Europe and elsewhere don't really make that distinction. So if they see that there's some problem in Mali, they will assume that that's a wider problem. So again, I think it underlines the importance of trying to resolve this and to get on with completing the process of passing, implementing legislation for the Constitution and dealing with the budget deficit here, which I think is quite an important problem still. So passing some laws that will help to shore up the Maldives' economic situation. And those are really the things that need to be done. And so the sooner the parties can get together and get Parliament working again, the better. Well, I don't really want to get into the details of what suggestions I made, but again, I just urged them to work together to try to find common ground and to get beyond this impasse, because I do believe there's a significant risk if this impasse continues, and that there's the potential for violence, and that could then have an impact on the economy and could erode the public confidence in their leaders and also in their institutions.